Good day everyone and welcome to Obidient Family TV. The program is Hope Alive. Yes, there is hope and a new Nigeria is certainly possible. On a good morning, afternoon and evening, depending your time zone. Today we come again to have discussions on what is happening in Nigeria, especially as we know that yesterday was, should we say, an anniversary for them and a celebration that shouldn't have been, because we have a lot of Nigerians who are actually reacting to that very celebration, in quotes, that they are having of yesterday. Whether it is a celebration of the failures of this administration, we will see to that. But let's start even with the announcement of yesterday that the federal government will commence again the 75,000 naira cash transfer to families. It is an audio palliative, as we know. And after being caught in different forms of lies and propaganda, Tinubu's government has restarted the provision of conditional direct 75 cash transfer to 75 million Nigerians, aiming to mitigate the impact of inflation. This was announced by the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, during this ministerial sectoral briefing of yesterday, marking the first year of Tinubu's administration in Abuja. However, reports has ascertained that the palliative never existed. If there was any 75,000 palliative to mitigate inflation, at least 1 million Nigerians should have by now spoken out about receiving their palliative funds. That is very, very obvious. Nigerians are there, they are in different areas, and they could come out to say that they have received money. Edun chairs as the Presidential Panel on Social Investment. He stated that the scheme targets 15 million households nationwide. He emphasized that the cash transfer are intended to immediately improve living standards for the beneficiaries. So many things that the government has done. Done. Even as at that very yesterday, we were told that there is no longer going to be a joint session of the Senate or the House of Reps. But as we can see, what is his name? Bayo Nanuga come on one side, said that there is going to be a joint session. Then we have the other spokesperson that also came out to say, no, there is not going to be a joint. It's going to be some sort of projects, galore, and all of that. But we can see that this very 75 million Nigerians, as they say, involving households and all of that, and 5K for immediate time, well, let's see how it ensures the public trust that they are talking about. But we do know that, and we call it audio because it has been long that they actually said something about this. So, but let's take a listen. There is some fearless, very fearless rep. That is the Labour Party's rep by name, I think, Elian Orobu, who is a rep member for Oka North and South Federal Constituency, challenged Chief Bola Tinubu in that joint session. I was very clear on the floor where she stated clearly that there is really nothing to celebrate. Even when she's being calmed down and being shouted at and even translating what she has said to be something different, she stood her ground to maintain the fact that there's really nothing to celebrate. Let's take a listen as we proceed on this.
The good people of Oka North and South Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, I'm from Anambra State. Mine is very brief. Like you said, that democracy is also a process where you give other people a chance to speak. And we're celebrating 25 years of independence, 25 years of unbroken democratic system. And for me, this celebration is coming to me with so much mixed feelings, because Nigerians are all watching us. Nigerians are listening to us. Those people we are representing are listening to us. How much of this democracy, unbroken democracy that we are celebrating today, how has it translated to, unbroken food security? How has it transferred and transformed into unbroken security in the nation? How has it transformed into unbroken access to education, access to healthcare, And we're talking about celebration of democracy. The democracy is government of the people, for the people, by the people. And it should actually change the lives of our people. We are representing our people. Our people are hungry back home. For me, to be honest with you, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing to celebrate.
Oh, you're saying we should not celebrate
so we should
democracy?
be looking at celebrating food security. We should be looking at celebrating access to health care. So we should be looking at celebrating. There are a lot of things to celebrate. We know that we have had unbroken. Excuse me, please. I need to be protected. I need to be protected, Mr. Speaker.
You are protected, but democracy is what is protecting you.
So
democracy has given you that place here standing.
We have on this floor.
To be a parliamentarian, it's democracy that gave you that platform. Are you saying you are not celebrating it?
What has it, how has it impacted? We need it to move a step further. We need it to move a step further. If I am here and it has brought me here, how has it impacted my own people? That's what I'm talking about, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much.
So please,
thank you.
We are celebrating, I am celebrating, but we should be able
to you are celebrating it now.
Implement what we have been doing here.
Okay, thank you. So you are celebrating it now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, Professor B has ended up saying that she is celebrating democracy.
This is fearless rep from the Labour Party talking about the hunger in the land and not the celebration. As we know, the hunger is everywhere. The economic hardship is biting hard. And most of these reps over there just shut up because they have Tinubu in their midst. They have other dignitaries in their midst, but she stood up. So I call that a fearless representative of the people from the Orcas, North and South. So Rep. Lillian Honorable, kudos for bringing that out. Let other people that are of Labour Party descent, whom the Obedience voted for, let them speak up wherever they are, be it in the Rep, be it in the Senate. Let them do speak up. That is what we want to hear. And there's also reactions from people in the street who actually talked more on how they feel about this 1 year of Tinubu's hopelessness in office. Let's take a listen to people on the street while we come back.
Well, Tinubu first administration is low. I pass out as low because you cannot eat for 3 times a day.
I must tell you that the 1 year of Tinubu in office, for me, is a wasted year. It's a wasted year because it has dashed the expectation of Nigerians. It has dashed the hope of Nigerians. Let us just look at the double policy that came from the president during inauguration. I'm talking about the subsidy removal on gasoline and the floating of Naira at the official window. Though the floating of Naira at the official window did not come immediately, but these are the 2 major policies of this government that have seen Nigeria economy collapsing. And it's quite unfortunate that the government have made so many promises that we feel would have changed things for the better, but unfortunately, the government have not been able to redeem any of its promises.
Most of the money, we saw that ever since the president assumed office, he bought vehicles for the national assemblies. Then also Nigerians have not felt any impact on the federal government. The same President Tinubu told us that see, if the first assembly is gone, there will be federal bus transit that will be stationed in every nooks and Phoenix, strategic locations that will convey commuters to their different locations at a subsidized rate. Till date, I am still yet to see with my 2 eyes the federal mass transit.
Everything is expensive now.
So much talk going on in the street about these 365 days of Tinubu. But let me take you guys on another role. Let's understand that in this week of last year, 2 things were enthroned in the Nigerian political space. One was the man called Bola Tinubu, who was sworn in as the president. The other was the myth of the man as a headhunter endowed with a unique instinct for sourcing the right talent and astute administrator. So much was this idea of Tinubu as administrative capacity, believed that his supporters were sure he would, to use the language of former Abia State Governor Orji Kalu, forward Nigeria to all forwardness. Well, it is 1 year now, and we might as well start asking how that myth has fared. Let me digress here to point out that two kinds of people propagated the myth of Tinubu's governing capacity. In one category are those you might call the no-betters. These are those who have never seen, let alone lived in a properly functioning city, and therefore has no frame of comparison when they were told Tinubu would build Nigeria as he built Lagos. They could be beguiled by the travesty of Lagos, a city where property value costs a fortune but cannot even boast of something as basic as potable water, because that is the height of their experience. Even when they see the city side of Lagos, their desperation for an idol to worship pushes them to willingly blind themselves to reality by eagerly gogging on glossy, photoshopped image of Eco Atlantic. When you can self-suit with the visuals of utopia, dystopia becomes livable. Then, there are the dishonest no-betters. These dishonest no-betters is a people whose lives and livelihoods depend on peddling lies, distortions, sentiments, and blatantly voiced falsehood. They have experienced functional societies, so they know what we have is subpar, but they still tell you it is sufficient. Nigeria's future does not concern them because they have built a safe house elsewhere where they and their children will forever be untainted by the rottenness of this country. So, how has the myth of Tinubu as a savvy administrator held up? Well, two separate policies might best illustrate how they have conducted themselves in office so far. Let's recall that on May 29 last year, 2023, Tinubu pronounced the 3 words that immediately unleashed hardship on Nigerians who had already endured hell under the Muhammadu Buhari's administration. Subsidy is gone. That was a serious proclamation. Now, the issue is not that he removed the subsidy that some people were talking about yesterday. That was already expected, but he was haphazard about such a significant step. Why? Here is why. Let me just be clear. About a month after that pronouncement, he announced that he would announce the decision because he was under the influence of some spirits, in quotes. Please think about that for a moment. That is Chief Bola Tinubu, who happens to be anointed as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, making a decision that will affect lives and livelihoods of millions of people. Not because he has sat down and worked out a policy agenda with an economic team, but because he was put by some voices in his head. That is significant. Wow. If it was some spirit that took possession of him and forced the words out of his mouth, it means there was no thorough planning to see how the fuel subsidy removal will work, how to mitigate the resultant suffering, and how to assess if their program was working. Even worse, it means he cannot fully take responsibility for the fallout of such a program, since it is originated from some forces. Whatever pain and hardship you experience due to his policy decision is not for him to bear. After all, he only acted under some supernatural influence when he pronounced the policy into effect. That too is worth ruminating over. The man some people convinced themselves would turn Nigeria into a Dubai does not plan. Then came this year. Let's take a stroll of this year, when the same administration that told us that the fuel subsidy that helped to alternate the economy reality was a waste, also approved a whopping 90 billion to subsidize Hajj pilgrimage, which we reported here at Obidient Family TV. Again, this is what a reflection. The man saw Nigerians groan in pain from his fuel subsidy removal and grovel to help, but looked away. They insisted on delivering the hard shock about the subsidies. They were supposedly a waste of resources. They offered palliatives that we are talking about today. Now, instead, their efforts in this direction were so poorly thought out and poorly organized that they reversed the plan. So, while they had no answer for the pain of the generality of Nigerians and resolutely watched Nigerian people suffer, they had no qualms carrying to a tiny segment of the population embarking on something as privileged as a religious pilgrimage. What is worse than Tinubu paying 90 billion on a Hajj this year is that he has to pay it next year again, and that year after he will pay again and continue like that, because nobody in the Senate is talking, especially as his second term election is approaching. If he fails to sustain it, the Muslim population whose votes he is targeting through the humongous expenses will not forgive him. Worse still, they will have forgotten what he paid in 2024. He has to keep up the spending, giving the Nigerian pageant to turn virtually any initiative into an avenue for siphon public funds. Do not be as surprised that if that 90 billion starts ballooning yearly, you will see it happen. You assess the situation he got himself and the long-suffering Nigerians into and wonder how a man who was so mysticized could unravel that quickly. When it came to administrating pain and shock, Tinubu was possessed with the spirit of courage and freedom, as he gravely put it. When he came to standing up to religious and ethnic sentiments, his pandering revealed those spirits as cowardice and economic sabotage. Now let's take a dive into his assertion about the national anthem. Even as at the field in the front of play, just like the Rep Orebu fearlessly confronted the issue of the suffering of Nigerians, some other people also voiced the fact that national anthem being signed into law is not the problem of Nigeria. Let's take a listen again. I will come back and take you through this road of the mystical of what people has gotten us into. Let's take a listen.
How this national anthem even affect the well-being of the common man in Nigeria. Let's be realistic. How this one will support the government to stop either hunger, banditry, or improve insecurity. To us, let's do what is beneficial to the common man, and this honorable chamber is the only, for now, standing on a formidable force, a point for the common man of Nigeria. So Nigerians are looking up to us. I concur with the minority leader. Let's look up something that will bring a development in the eyes of the international community to Nigeria. People are discussing nanotechnology, Internet of Things. We are still discussing national anthem. There was a saying that says countries that rely on prayers and other things will always depend on the countries that do think. Please, let's think something that will bring progress, prosperity, stability to the economy of this nation and to improve the lives of common man in Nigeria.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Okay, let's hear from Honorable Jack.
I don't know.
Just to also tell you that some reps are also talking about this particular change of national anthem that we spoke about yesterday. But let me also continue to tell you one of the good things that has come out of this, but is also not moving very well. Let's talk about the student loan. He signed the Student Loan Act into law, but they later withdrew it with the promise to return. Till now, they are still fumbling through the launch. We recalled the ambassadors from their post, but it turned out that he had no plans in place to replace them. He also proposed the green tax but had to reverse it when the introduction turned out to be ill-timed. Then there were this import tax adjustment levy, expired tax, and the cybersecurity levy that were introduced but needed to be reversed. He will probably go down in history as the president with the most reversed policies in the history of governance in Nigeria at the rate he is going. Even the construction of Lagos-Calabar Highway announced with the fanfare had not been fully thought through. Then the blatant and needless lies such as the UAE visa ban and the Marx affair suggest that they lack any integrity. If they cannot be honest with even the simple things, why should you trust them on the big things? Plot all this together. All you can come up with is a solid picture of a man whose administration lacks coordination and takes decisions based on what their hormones, that those spirits of God, dictate. Tinubu's myth as an efficient administrator that has always been propped up with media propaganda and self-serving intellectual has severely unraveled, revealing an unpleasant picture of the man, the myth, the mediocrity. To think we are going through this after 16 years of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and 8 years of Buhari, add the past 1 year, you see 25 directionless years. God help everybody, just everybody in Nigeria. Let's take some credit from Adiola, who also voiced her own discontent with this change of national anthem, her way. I always like the way that she presents this, because we did that yesterday and she did. So credits to Adiola. Let's take a listen to her.
When I tell you how much I love the Nigerian government, some of you don't believe me, but I do. If you tell the Nigerian government that you have headache, they will do what? They will give you nail polish. They will say, here, go and paint your nails, so that at least you are looking good while you are suffering. How can you not love them? People have been shouting that the economy is hard. Ilule, everything has become expensive. What did the government do? They decided to change our national anthem to the old one. Wallahi talai. Is anything wrong with changing the national anthem? Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with it. Quite frankly, Nigerians don't care. But how does that help with what is on ground? As in, it's been 1 year of Tinubu's presidency, and within that 1 year, a bag of rice went up by 129%. Alaji, haba, before we started Emilocon something, a bag of rice was 35,000 naira. No, so today it is 80,000. In fact, it got to 90,000 in some places. A bag of beans went up by 217%. When we are not at war, it went from 30,000 to 95,000. Even Gary went up by 79%. It was 28,000 last year. It's now 50,000. Exactly what are we doing? Bread. 1 loaf of bread that was 900 naira is now 1,006. Tomato that was 40,000 naira per bag is now 150,000 naira per bag. How do you account for that? Above all, yam. Yeah, you guys know how much I love yam. Last year, 3 tubers of yam was 2,000 naira. Now it is 10,500 naira. Alaji Tinubu. I have to dance for you. People are suffering. Last year, Abuja to Lagos flight that was 30-something thousand naira is now 80K. Somebody that was flying from Abuja to Ibadan recently paid 90,000 naira. I said, hey? Meanwhile, minimum wage is what? Minimum wages, you see, this is not adding up. Things are not adding up. Kojora won't add up, rara. But while we are complaining about all these things, the government decided to change our national anthem. They changed our national anthem. Somebody complaining, I'm hungry. And they said, here, sing a new song. I'm a currency too. Alaji, you need a new set of advisors. I'm telling you. That was how you spent 90 billion naira on Hajj pilgrimage. I have told you several times on this show that if you need any advice, I must pay that. Call Etemilago. Alaji, all you need to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel. At least you will know what people are saying, because but after singing a new song, you call get breakfast. Congratulations to Mr. President and the lawmakers. We all sing a new song. So after we sing a new song, you call get breakfast.
Is brazenly hot, as we can see. Somebody is hungry and you are telling the person to sing a new song. It's really, I don't know whether I should say it's funny or what. Whatever you think about this, please go to the comment section. Tell us your thoughts on all of this. But as we say, it is important that the people at the helm of affairs, the senators that are brought by the Labour Party, we believe that the Obidient, did their best to bring you there. Please do open your mouth at the Senate chambers, at the House of Rep. Please please do the needful. Of course, when we say please, some people say we don't need to beg. But why are we saying please? There's an electoral reform that needs to happen. Let's focus on getting those things done before we go into other major elections that are coming. Well, that is as much as I want to go today. But before I leave the studio, I want to also remind us that Obidient Family Cooperative Societies, the welfare arrangement of all obedience is happening across the 774 local governments in Nigeria. It's happening now. So wherever you are, is a local government. It doesn't matter where you reside, there is a local government. Join Obidient Cooperative Society wherever you are, so that we start making changes, we start making plans on how to survive this economic hardship. Let's stay together, let's connect. By 5 p.m. this evening, that is the Nigerian time, or West African time as it's popularly known. We'll be back with reports of all the people who are actually having engagements. I mean, obedience and well-meaning Nigerians who are coming together to stay together to make sure that a new Nigeria is possible in the welfare aspect of the obedience. Until then, I want us to take a listen to some of the international media who are reporting what is happening in Nigeria, especially as even our own mainstream media have stopped bringing up the issues of the kidnappings and the banditry that are making us even not have food in Nigeria. Because when these things are happening in Niger State, which is the food basket of the nation, it means that the farmers cannot be able to go to their farmlands, and not just in Niger, but in different areas. So if international media is reporting all of this and it is lacking from our own local media, what is happening? That is the question. So let's take a listen to this, and with that, that's where I'll be closing. So see you 5 in the evening on the Obidient Connect, the Obidient Cooperative Society reports coming on by 5 p.m. Until then, bye for now.
Nigeria has been hit by a mass kidnapping again. This time, more than 150 people were abducted. They were taken from a village in the Niger state. Around 300 bike-borne assailants entered the village on Friday. They killed at least 6 people who tried to stop them, and then they made off with 150 others, 150 people, mostly women and children. These abductions took place over 2 days, starting on Friday night and going on till Saturday. Here's our report.
Another mass kidnapping has taken place in Nigeria. On Friday, a horde of raiders descended upon a village called Kuchi. Some reports say they were terrorists linked to the group Boko Haram. Others say they were bandits, not driven by ideology, just money. Where the reports agree is that there were about 300 raiders on 100 motorbikes. At first, they were held off. Local militias managed to keep them at bay for about 3 hours, but eventually the defenders fell, waiting for backup that never arrived. 6 people died defending the village. The raiders initially scattered, but then regrouped. Later that night, they returned to the village. The defenses had been overrun, so the raiders entered Kuchi village. And throughout the night, they rounded up their victims. This is how Amnesty International described the pillaging. The gunmen went from house to house, subjecting families to inhuman and degrading treatment. Reports say the raiders raped multiple women in the village. A district official described their impunity. He said the gunmen cooked and made tea. They made instant noodles and spaghetti. This is while they were raping and pillaging, while they were rounding up villagers to kidnap. Over the course of several hours, the raiders abducted more than 150 villagers from Kuchi. Kuchi village is located in the central state of Niger, which borders Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The village shouldn't be more than 3 to 4 hours away from the capital, but that didn't deter the raiders. And even though the local militia fought bravely, no reinforcements arrived. No one came to help the village as it was being attacked. The raiders had all the time in the world to kidnap their victims. They returned the following night as well. On Saturday, they even had the audacity to take the head of the village. Even an entire day after the first attack, the village received no protection. This isn't the first time Kuchi village was attacked. Amnesty says the raiders have consistently attacked Kuchi since 2021. A local official said that this was the 5th time that the village had been targeted. But despite the regular danger, it seems nothing is being done to fix the problem. Amnesty was direct in its criticism. The group said that the frequent mass abductions and killings are clear evidence of failure of authorities to protect the people. It also said that the Nigerian authorities have left the rural communities of Niger State at the mercy of gunmen who kill and abduct people daily. Reports have also found that in the last year, over 7,000 people have been abducted and more than 4,500 have been killed in Nigeria. That's more than 12 killed and about 20 abducted every single day. Starting from May 29, 2023, the date of Bola Tinubu's inauguration as president. He had vowed to put an end to terror and kidnappings, but on the contrary, mass abductions seem to be on the rise. There was the kidnapping of around 300 school children in March, and now over 150 this weekend. Clearly, Tinubu is failing, as mass abductions almost become the norm in Nigeria.